generations. We're at 4G, all hoping for 5G. Well, in preparing for today, I want you to think about the employees who define, design, market these cell phone products. How much have their jobs changed since the entry of the cell phone? There's a futurist by the name of Daniel Burrus, and I'm a fan of his, and he recently wrote an article on how your smartphone is getting smarter. And these are not ideas of the future. These are ideas that are prototyped today and will be coming in commercial products soon. So rather than having to type in a passcode, our phones will be able to use our biometric information for authentication, our fingerprint, our eye print, the way we gesture and use the phone. We'll also have full 3D displays on our phones. We won't have to have any special glasses to use them. E-wallets will take over, wireless payments. I'm really looking forward to my cell phone becoming my digital personal assistant. And then all of us will be able to hyper-connect. So as you all came into the room today, via your smartphone, you would have had the ability to connect with other electronics, computers, appliances, cameras, televisions, as you walked into the room. So what this means is that people who are working in this arena always have to be thinking towards the future. They have to be adapting their thinking and their problem solving, not to the world of today, but to what's coming for the future. And so that means even more in the workplace, it's impossible to find one person who's going to have all that expertise. So it means knowing when to bring in experts and knowing when to gain the new expertise in real time. And to me, the cell phone of today, or the complex electronic systems of today are great examples of where workers have to take transdisciplinary skills to pull all of this together. It's actually a very complex system, but the best, the most talented people can take that complex system and make it very easy for all of us to learn and to use. All right, so let's move from that skills and abilities arena over to what are the hot jobs, of the next decade or so. And I used the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics for this, as well as some research out of the University of Phoenix about the future work skills in 2020. So the traditional roles that are needed in companies today, such as engineering and operations, finance, marketing, communications, IT, HR, those are still going to be there. Those are still going to be traditional roles. But some of the themes and the hot areas of growth, so you've all heard about big data, and you've heard about, so that's going to drive a need for more data scientists. And these are people who have the ability to analyze all this data that really hasn't existed before, kind of our digital footprints that we're leaving behind as we go through our lives. And we're going to need people who can analyze it, make sense of it, statisticians and data miners, who are going to use this data to identify patterns and use that to shape business decisions, use it to make our lives more entertaining, use it to help us live better and live more healthy. There's a big need for designers, so process designers as well as product designers. And you think about the area of 3D, there's still not a lot of content that's truly three-dimensional, so that's going to be a design area that's going to stay hot. I have a colleague who is working in the robotics arena, and she says not even 5 years from now, a lot of the healthcare that's now delivered by a human will be able to be delivered by a robot. Well, guess what? Somebody's going to have to keep that robot running. So as these new technologies emerge, technicians who are capable at keeping them running are going to be needed. So more robots means more robot technicians. You've all read about and heard about security breaches where our data gets compromised, or where some website or product gets hacked. So cybersecurity expertise is going to be growing in importance, and I've seen it become a major at more and more universities. Of course, we all continue to care about our environment, so environmental scientists are going to be a hot and growing area in the next 10 years. Healthcare, the healthcare arena, you can't find an industry that is in greater change than healthcare. And every job role across the healthcare space, from the lowest skill required jobs all the way to the highest, is in major change. And of course, technology is having a major impact on how healthcare is delivered and on what we can have available to us. moving to the science, technology, and engineering and mathematics arena, it's really at the heart of Texas Instruments talent. There's an organization called STEM Connector, and in their 2012-2013 report in STEM jobs, they forecasted growth in STEM jobs nationally from 7.4 million today to almost 9 million in 2018. And these occupations are expected to grow at twice the overall rate of the labor market, so of the labor force. So STEM jobs will grow at 20.6%, while the overall labor market grows at just over 10%. And I was really pleased to read that Texas is expected to rank second in 2018, second only to California in terms of the number of STEM jobs in our state. So California is forecasted to grow to the 1.2 million level, and Texas is expected to be at just about 800,000 by 2018. So the STEM arena is a hot and growing area, and of course especially important to companies like Texas Instruments. And tomorrow's jobs are really closer than we think. I had the opportunity to visit Texas A&M, my alma mater, and speak at the Women in Science and Engineering Conference. And two of the women who I had the opportunity to meet there, they're pursuing their PhDs and about to enter the job market. One of them, her specialization is in vitro fertilization for cows. So that's what she spends all of her time doing, is figuring out how to make the process better so that in vitro fertilization can happen for cows. And I kind of laughed at her. I said, isn't that kind of a small niche market? She said, well, it's actually growing. There were more than 1 million embryos sold in 2012 to countries outside the U.S. who want to grow their beef production, China being the #1 buyer. Another woman who I got to know, she is writing software that monitors social media to make it safer for young people. And so these are a couple of examples that they're actually on the list of jobs for 20 years from now. And so you can be sure that students at universities are studying and on the leading edge of this now. Okay, so let's look even further forward than 10 years. And the source for this particular information is a UK government study called Fast Future. And futurists and technologists were asked, what do they think will be some of the most popular jobs in 2030? So let's talk through a few of these. So the first one is a body part maker. All right, so creating living body parts for folks like athletes and for soldiers. A nanomedic, so using nanotechnology to deliver subatomic treatments as a means of transforming healthcare. A genetically modified farmer. So similar to my friend who's working on in vitro fertilization for cows, there are also people working on engineering crops. An elderly wellness consultant. I know for sure I'm going to need one of those. And a memory augmentation surgeon. I hope to accelerate that sooner than 3 years. Space pilots, tour guides, and architects. Vertical farmers, as land becomes more valuable, how do we farm going up instead of out? Climate change reversal specialists. So, how do we undo some of the carbon footprint that we're all leaving here? A quarantine enforcer. So a deadly virus that is spreading rapidly. What's the talent that's going to be needed to enforce the quarantine and guard the gates? Weather modification police. So if you're the Beijing Olympics and you want the air to be clear and you want the weather to be good, you just call the weather modification police. Alternative vehicle developers, so zero emission cars, just like we're seeing today with electric cars. Waste data handlers. So think of that as an IT axeman. So we all have more information that we can handle today, and so we're going to need help handling that wasted data. And a virtual clutter organizer. So I need that today. Okay, so let me close out my comments here. I don't know if any of you have had the chance to read a new book and a new iPad app called The Human Face of Big Data. And the idea behind the project is that our planet is developing a nervous system that many data experts believe will have a greater impact on our life than the internet. And I haven't read the complete book, but I'm quite fascinated by what I've read so far. So some of the concepts that are in this book really take these future jobs of 2030 even a little further. So some of the ideas there. Elephant seals that are equipped with antennae on their heads and used to map out our oceans. Satellites that can be used to target mosquitoes to help us better understand malaria. We need some of those here for West Nile, right? An SMS system that prevents the sale of counterfeit medicine in Ghana. Smartphones that can predict when you're going to get depressed. Credit cards that know 2 years before you get a divorce that you're headed for one. And pills that can transmit information directly from your body to your doctor. So that hopefully helps paint a vision of the future and where jobs are headed. In closing, I just want to reiterate the importance of education and the demands for lifelong learning. Both of these have never been more important. And Texas Instruments and I look forward to working with all of our education partners who are represented here today to continue to keep Richardson and Dallas-Fort Worth not only a thriving economy and community, but also an outstanding talent pool that can feed companies like mine. Thank you.